Hello students, this video is part 1 of chapter 16 Water. In this video, we will cover the topics Introduction, Uses of Water, Availability of Water in Nature, Forms of Water, Where do we get water from, and groundwater as an important source of water. So let's start. Here we are studying through the introduction part that existence of life on the earth is possible due to its natural resources. As we know that on the earth, if life is possible, so it is just because it is possible due to the natural resources. So here any component of the earth or environment which can be utilized by human beings to fulfill their needs is known as natural resource. It means what are the natural resources? Any component of the earth or environment which is utilized by human beings, means what we use from the earth, what we get to fulfill their needs, means to fulfill our needs from the earth we use the component of the earth, and these components are known as natural resource. Okay, so natural resources are also called as earth resources. We can say what natural resources more as earth resources, as they are obtained from various parts of the earth, land, water and atmosphere. Like what we get the natural resources from various parts of the earth, like what various parts, like from land, water and atmosphere. So all these components from where we get the earth's part, those components we will say natural resource. So natural resources can be divided into inexhaustible natural resources and exhaustible natural resources. Means natural resources has been divided into two categories, that one is inexhaustible and other one is exhaustible. We'll see here what is inexhaustible natural resources and what is exhaustible natural resources. So here first we will see inexhaustible natural resources. As the word inexhaustible, exhaustible means to get over, to get finished. Exhaust means so inexhaustible means the thing which not get finished fast. So the resources which are available in a large quantity, means those resources on the earth which are available in a huge quantity, in a large quantity, and are not going to be end in a future, means in the future also it is not going to get end, not going to over. So those are called inexhaustible natural resources, and these include air, sunlight, etc. As we know, from the starting of the earth, from the development of the earth, air, sunlight, etc. all are present, and now also it is present, it is never end. So this type of resources, as you know, air is also important for us, sunlight important. So these are what natural resources. So these are inexhaustible because it is not get end till in the future also. So these are what natural resources, inexhaustible natural resources. Now exhaustible natural resources. So what the resources which are present in a limited quantity, means those resources which are present in a very small amount, or we can say limited amount, and can be finished if they are used in uncontrolled manner. Means if it is in unorganized manner, if we are using it continuously, or in an uncontrolled manner if we are using these resources, so they will finish fast with the time, and those resources will called as natural resources, exhaustible natural resources. So here life processes such as, here the exhaustible natural resources which can be replenished within a reasonable time are called renewable natural resources. Now one more category of natural resources were renewable. Renewable means again get renew, means again get replenished. So those exhaustible natural resources which can be replenished, means which can be refilled, which can be again replenished within a reasonable time. So those natural resources will be called as renewable natural resources. For example, soil, forest and underground water. Like what? Soil never get end, forest and underground water, these are what on time to time they are getting replenished. So that is why those resources are called as renewable natural resources. Then the exhaustible natural resources which cannot be replenished, means which cannot get refilled, which cannot get replenished. Replenished means refilled, means to get again recharged. So those resources which cannot be replenished within a reasonable time, so these resources will be called as non-renewable natural resources. Non-renewable means we again cannot get renewed. For example, fossil fuels like petroleum and coal. So these fossil fuels are what? Non-renewable, because once petrol has used from the earth and we have taken out from the earth, again it cannot form till so many millions of years. So these are what, once it is used, so it is used. So these are called non-renewable natural resources. In this chapter, we will learn about an important natural resource water. Means here, as we know, water is also one of the natural resources. So that is why the chapter here, this is what, natural resource water, which is a very precious natural resource. And here only this we are studying about the water. So first topic start with water is uses of water. So water is used at what places, and in what is the role of water in our life. So water is essential for the existence of life. As we know that for the existence of life on earth, or for the survival of life on the earth, water is very essential, means very important. So first point, life processes such as digestion, distribution of nutrients and excretion require water. Means life processes means in any organism this life processes occurs. What? Digestion, distribution of nutrients and excretion process. So all this process require water, because if water will not be if we will not get the water in our body, we will not be do the process of digestion and distribution of nutrients in our body in a proper way. So water is very important for the life processes. Second point, water helps in maintaining the temperature of our body by sweating. As we know, in a summer or in a hot days, we sweat, our body sweat. So what? Because of that, due to sweating, our body maintains the temperature. So water helps in maintaining the temperature of the body by sweating. Third, it is required for daily routine activities such as drinking, cooking and cleaning utensils. As we know, for doing this daily life activities, daily life routines, for these processes also we require water. It is also useful in generation of electricity, navigation and irrigation. As we know, very useful in the conduction of electricity, means to produce electricity water is required. And navigation means in the navigation process also, in the water helps in the navigation process and irrigation process. So for those purposes also water is very important. For several plants and animals, water acts as a habitat. As we know, aquatic plants, aquatic animals, so where they live in the water. So water acts as a habitat, means for those organisms, for those creatures, water is a habitat, water is their place to live. So for several plants and animals, water is a habitat. Sixth point, water helps in germination of seeds and growth of plant. As we know, for the germination of seeds, when you will germinate any seed, when you will sow any seed, so what you will require? You will require water. Without water, the seed will not grow and it will not germinate. So for the germination and for the growth of plants, water is important. Water is required by plants during the process of photosynthesis, and even water is very important during the and for the process of photosynthesis also. It also helps in transport of minerals and nutrients from the soil to the different parts of the plant. As we know, in our body, to transfer the nutrients, water play a important role. So for the plant's body also, to transport the minerals and nutrients from the soil, who does this important work? Water plays an important role in transportation of water and minerals and nutrients from the soil to the different parts of the plant. Then here in this picture we can see how water is required for the germination of seeds, and many animals live in water, in the water as their habitat. Okay, so there was this picture in which what water is essential for every living organism, whether it is plant or animal. Water is essential for all the living organisms. Now next point topic is availability of water in nature. As we know, water is available in nature, but in how much percentage, in how much amount and all water is present, that we will see here, we will study in detail here. When we look at the picture of the earth taken from the space, much of its parts appears blue. See, when we see the picture of the earth, this is the picture of the earth. As you can see, what you will observe while you are seeing this picture, the maximum part of the earth is blue, this blue part. Okay, so do you know why do you know why the earth color is what? Blue. Maximum part is blue. This is because This is because about 71% of the earth's surface is covered with water. Why? Because 71% of the earth's surface is covered with water. 71% is total water only present on the earth. Therefore our earth is also called water planet. Therefore earth is also called water planet because water is much present on the earth. Here almost 97.5% of the water available on the earth's surface is contained in the seas and oceans. Means if we see our total out of 100%, 97.5% water is only available at seas and oceans. Okay, this water is salty or saline, which we cannot be consumed directly. As we know, this water, in that water is what present, salt is present. That's why this water is salty or saline, which cannot be consumed directly. Means we cannot use this water and we cannot drink this water directly, and therefore is unfit for human consumption. And that sea water is also unfit for human consumption because it is not good for our health. And of the remaining 2.5%, means 97.5% water is present on the seas and oceans, but the remaining 2.5%, a major portion, means out of 2.5 also what major 1.7% is found in the frozen form of ice. Means out of 2.5%, 1.7% water is only present at in the form of frozen ice. Okay, at ice caps on the top of the mountains and in glaciers. Means on the mountain's top it is formed as ice caps, and in glaciers water is formed. Now out of 2.5, 1.7% or major portion has already gone. Now how much only left? Only 0.8% of total water on earth is fresh water. How much fresh water only we are having which we can use directly? 0.8%. So it is on the earth is fresh water available as river water. Like what? River water, it is in 0.8%, like river water, lake water and groundwater, and it is fit for human beings, and directly we can use this water. It is directly we can consume. It is fit for human beings. Figure 16.3, we can say that the actual amount of water is available for human use is negligible. Means actually if we see the amount of water what we can use is negligible. 0.8% from 100% is what? Negligible. So very less amount of water we having as a fresh water. So here if we see that, here you can see in this picture this much part is 2.5%, and the whole this more fraction is 97.5%. Means this much water is present at the seas and oceans, and this much 2.5% water, and in the 2.5% also dividing is there. This divisions are there. So means 1.7% is ice caps and glacier, and only 0.8% is a ground water which we can use directly. So as we can here we can see that how much very less amount of percentage of water as a fresh water we have. So we should use it very carefully. Now forms of water, means water we know that how much it is present and in how much but in what forms it is present on the earth. We know that water exists in three physical states: solid, liquid and gas. We know that the three major states, three main states: solid, liquid and gas, and water is present in all the three states on the earth under different conditions. Mean in different conditions and different form of water is present. So these three states of matter can be interconverted by heating or cooling. If we will heat the water or we will cool the water, the state of water will change, and we know it very well. Water can be found in all the three forms of the earth at any given time on the earth. Means it is not necessary that water it will be always in one form only. Water can be converted in any of the form, and it can be found in any of the form on the earth at any given time. So here the first form is the solid form of water, है ना? It will be what? Snow and ice. It is what? Solid form of water, and it is present as ice caps at the poles of the earth. On the poles of the earth means at the mountains and all, ice caps, water is frozen from frozen form, and this frozen form is what? Solid form of water. And it is what? Snow covered mountains and glaciers, there this form of water is in the form of solid. Second is liquid form of water, and it is present in oceans, lakes, rivers and even as underground water. Means liquid form of water is present in those areas. And the gaseous form of water. Now gaseous form of water is present at where, like that is water vapor. Water vapor we know it is present in the atmosphere, in the form of moisture. So this water vapor is present in the form of gaseous form, and it is present in the air around us. Okay, so the continuous circulation of water among its three forms keep the total amount of water on the earth constant. Means, as we know, there is the continuous circulation of water is being going on, like what, water cycle, so this continuous circulation of water always keeps on the earth the amount of water constant. Means the amount of water keeps the same every year by the circulation of the water in the different forms. And even when the whole world is using its for millions of years, means, as we know, the water is used by the people on the earth from million of years, but still the earth keeps the water amount constant because of the continuous circulation of water among its three forms. Okay, so we know that continuous circulation of water from the earth's surface, means that continuous circulation means water cycle, and water bodies as water vapor to the atmosphere. We know that from the earth's surface and from water bodies, water converted into the water vapor, and it goes to the atmosphere, and from the atmosphere back to the earth's surface as rain, hail and snow. And once it went in the atmosphere in the form of water vapor, so this water vapor is stored in the clouds, it makes clouds, and after that again when cloud start raining, so this and then it on the atmosphere, this water comes back in the form of rain, hail and snow, and it is called the water cycle in nature, and this cycle is called water cycle in nature. So the water on the earth has been maintained for millions of years by various processes, which makes the water cycle. Means what, this water on the earth is maintained for millions of years by the processes, which processes, water cycle, and these processes make what, water cycle. Now next topic is, where do we get water from? Means we know water we having on the earth, present on the earth, a water cycle has been going on, but from where we are getting, how we are getting this water? So this we will see that most towns and cities have water supply system maintained by the civic bodies. Civic bodies means what, that water bodies, and the from where, means towns and cities, what we are having water supply system like what, from Nagar Nigam and all, they are providing water through the water supply system, and this by the civic bodies, means like from lake, water bodies and all, no? So from there we are getting, means Nagar Nigam, under the Nagar Nigam and all, the water comes from those lakes, ponds and river and all. So the water is drawn from nearby lakes, rivers, ponds or wells. That only that water is drawn, means water is taken from the nearby lakes, rivers, ponds or well. Okay, so water from natural resources contains many impurities, and we know that water from, even from natural resource, it is a natural resource, but then too it contains many impurities, and these impurities are removed to make it suitable for drinking, and these impurities is very important to remove to make the water suitable for drinking purpose. So to make the water pure, many processes has been done. So these processes include sedimentation, filtration, aeration and chlorination. These are various steps involved in the purification of water obtained from natural resources. As we can see here through this picture, how the water purification, water treatment process occurs and it happens is explained. Suppose from here river, from through the pump and from the intake the water is taken, then this water will get the coagulation process, where that what, through the some process the water will get filtered, then it will be sedimentation, means the all the impure and all the dust particles or any particle or any waste material, if it is present in the water, they all will settle down. So sedimentation, then through the filtration, means through the filter the water will get filtered, and then disinfection, means through some chemicals will be added to get the water disinfect, so that all the infectious bacteria and all will get removed. Then storage, their water will get stored, and then it will get distributed to the other houses and all. And aeration also process has been occurred here. Aeration means with the pressure of air, with the help of air pressure, the water get filtered, the water get clean, and then the water get distributed through the so many treatment processes. So, and chlorination also aid the chlorine, so that all the impurities, all the impure things can get removed from the water. So these are the various steps involved in the purification of water, and it is obtained from natural resources. So then we get purified river or lake water in our taps through a network of pipes. As we know, in our home through the Nagar Nigam, or in our tap, in our water tap, this water come, which water? River water, lake water, but after the filtration, after the purified process. So many villages do not have such a water supply system, but still many rural areas, villages are here which they are not having a proper water supply system. They do not get the water on time, they do not have tap at their houses and all. So therefore people fetch water directly from the sources. So what the village ladies and the rural areas, the people, what they do, they directly fetch the water from the water bodies, you know, like from the well. They directly take the fetch the water. So here a large number of people draw water from wells, tube wells or hand pumps. From where do these sources get water? As we know, what, a large number of people take the water from the well, tube well and hand pump. But from well, tube well and hand pump, where this water is getting, how this water is coming in the well, tube well and all. So this we need to understand, that how this all water come. So this water in the form of present is in the form of groundwater. So this we will study, that groundwater as an important source of water, means in the well, tube well and on even hand pump, they are getting the water from groundwater, as an which is very important source of water. So when we dig a deep hole in the ground, we find moist soil. Means when you will when you will dig a deep hole, and when you will make a deep hole in the ground, you will get you will find moist soil, little bit moistened soil. So what it shows, that the presence of water under the ground, means this moist soil indicates that some water is present, presence of water is under the ground. If we keep on digging further deep inside, if you will keep on digging further in the deep inside the earth, we will reach a level where all the spaces between the soil particles and gap between the rocks are filled with water. Means when you will dig more and more, you will get and you will find water. It means in the present, in the between the soil gaps and between the soil particles and in between the gaps, rocks gap, there is what water is present. So from where does this water come from? This water also coming from where? In the deep inside the soil, if water is present in between the spaces of the soil particles and in between gap of the rocks, from where this water is coming? So that we will see here. The rainwater and water from other sources such as rivers, lakes and ponds seep through the soil and fill the empty spaces and cracks below the ground. Means during the rainy season, the rainwater comes fall on the ground and on the these areas, rivers, lakes and ponds. So they are what, these rivers, lakes and ponds filled with water during the summer season, during the rainy season, and this water seep means the soil, the ground absorb the water, that is seep, matlab water is getting absorbed. So this water absorbed through the soil and fill the empty spaces and cracks below the ground. And as we know, if you will go deep inside, you will go under the ground, you will find empty spaces and cracks below the ground. But once the soil start absorbing the water, these all empty spaces and cracks below the ground get filled with water. So the process of seeping of water into the ground is called infiltration, and that absorbing of water means seeping of water into the ground. So means when if in indirect, if we say in other words, the ground drink the water, the soil drink the water from the rivers, lakes and all. So that drinking process means that absorbing process is called infiltration. After saturating the soil, rainwater and water from other sources move downward. Means after saturating, means once the level of soil has been completed with the filling of the water and all, so rainwater and water start absorbing from the downward through the soil, and this water get collected above impervious rock. As we know, under the soil layers are there, different layers, so impervious rock is also a layer of rocks where what this water start getting collected in between the layers or in between the spaces of these rocks, and This reservoir of water collected above impervious rocks below the surface of the earth is called groundwater. And that reservoir means that collection of water above impervious rocks on the surface of the earth is called groundwater. As we can see through the picture here, you can see when you will go down before the above the impervious rock, there will be the level of the water, there will be the layer of water, and this water layer is called as groundwater. Okay, then here after this reservoir water collected above impervious rocks below the surface of the earth is called groundwater, and the upper level of groundwater is called water table. And we say the upper level of the groundwater means this upper layer is called as water table, and the lower layer of the water which is stored between the gaps of the rocks is called as aquifer. So here or it may be defined as the minimum depth in the soil where all the pore spaces are filled with water. Means water table, what more we can define, that it is a minimum depth, means on the less depth, on the lower depth only, if the soil if the soil is filled with water, if the soil spaces and the soil pores means spaces, small hole, if they are filled with water, this level is called as water table. Okay, so here the water table varies from place to place, and it may even changes at a given place. It is not like that at every area at the same depth or at the same level the water table will be present. No, the water table can change from place to place, it can vary, and it may even change at a given place. Means at the same place also the water table level can be changed, in during summer time the water table may go more down. In the winters, in the rainy season, the water table can be at the top level. So at the given place, at the same place also the water table can be varying. The water table may be at a depth of less than a meter or maybe several meters below the surface of the earth. Means it is not necessary that every place at the same height the water table will be there. Means the water table may be at a depth of less than a meter, means at the less than 1 meter also we can get the a good collection of water under the ground, and maybe at several meter also the surface at the below the surface of the earth water is present. So it is not necessary that at every same height the water table will be present under the ground. Third, water table falls during summers and rises during rainy season. As we know, water table fall means it go more and more down during summers. Why? Because during summers water requirement increase, and due to increment in the water requirement, the water more and more water is being used and been taken out from the ground. So water table will get down, it will go down if we will take if we will take more and more water from the earth. So water will go down and down, water will go shift down and down, and rises during rainy season. And because in the rainy season the water is again occurring on the ground, falling on the ground, so that what the water table will get increased and will rise the level. So here groundwater gets filtered by several layers of sand and rocks when passed through the soil. As we know, under the soil many different layers of soil is present, of layer of sand, layer of rocks and all. So because of that the groundwater get filtered by these different layers of sand and rock when it is passed through the soil. Thus it is almost free from suspended impurities. Means whatever suspended any impurities is there present in the earth, so due to the layer of the soil all the impurities will suspended upside, and only the pure form of water will go down, but contains dissolved salt. But in this water dissolved salts, dissolved minerals and salts can be present. So the huge reservoirs of water inside the earth formed by the collection of groundwater between the layers of hard rocks below the water table are known as aquifer. That only means a huge reservoir of water inside the earth. It formed what? Collection of groundwater. First layer is collection of groundwater between the layers of hard rock, and if there is groundwater present between the layers of hard rocks below the water table, means more down of the water table, if the water is present in between the spaces of the hard rocks, so this reservoir will called as aquifers. And traditionally the groundwater has been utilized by digging wells deep till it reaches the water table. Means traditionally means before that when proper tube wells were not there and all, so people were using what? To dig the well till they reach the water table, and manually operated hand pumps or power operated wells are also used to pump out the groundwater. Means tube well and hand pumps or power operated tube well, they are taking from where they are getting the water from the groundwater. As we can see, this well, when it is will go dig and when it will be more and more dig, so that this water table, they are getting the water in the well from here, then hand pumps also taking the water from here, and this tube well also. So this way, this all well, tube well and all getting the water from the groundwater and from the aquifer. And we can understand here, below the water table there is a rock layer in between the spaces between the gaps of the rocks, the water is present, and the downside reservoir is called aquifer. Okay, so this groundwater is used for household, agricultural and industrial purposes. As we know that groundwater we use for our household, for our domestic use, for agricultural and for industrial purposes. So groundwater provides moisture to the soil, which helps in proper growth of plant. And even groundwater what provides moisture to the soil, which helps in proper growth of plant, because plants grow where? In the soil. Means all the nutrients and water plants take from the soil. So water is also important for the proper growth of plants. Here this is a picture of aquifer. Confined means limited level of the water here present in the form under the soil. So here this is the picture only to show you that the first layer is called of water collection is called water table, and the below level is called aquifer. Now here we know that the water table rises when there occurs more rainfall. Obviously more rainfall will be there, more water will be on the ground, and more absorbing of water will be there, more seepage of water will be there, and more the water table will rise, and more rainwater seeps into the ground. Okay, if excessive amount of groundwater is withdrawn for domestic, irrigational and industrial use, then the water table falls. Means if excessive amount of, if more and more amount of groundwater we are taking out, withdrawing out for our purposes, for our domestic, irrigation, industrial purposes, so obviously naturally the water table will fall down. And the gradual and continuous lowering of water table is known as groundwater depletion. Means if we are continuously the water table getting low, the water table getting gradually, means continuously it is getting down. So that lowering of water table means that getting down level of the water will called as groundwater depletion. Depletion means decreasing, means groundwater is decreasing, means groundwater level is decreasing, and it is also known as depletion of water table. Means the groundwater and water table getting level deplete, getting level decrease, so it will be called as depletion of water table. Okay, I hope till here you have understood well. Thank you, and the rest part will be explained in the part 2 of this chapter. Okay, thank you.